A lot of the work that most of us do is not rocket science, but people often don't want to do the hard work. One of the biggest issues today at people when they're considering having a personal brand is you are being flooded with tactics. You're being flooded with the things that you can do as a marketer. I don't work with people who do fear-based marketing, who tell you you look terrible and now you need my product. I do not work with people that market by putting insecurities into people and preying on them.
Yeah.
I do have to learn those skills in those crafts because I need to figure out how to get my message through to people that need to hear it. The marketing spirit is where we find the soul of your brand, of your work, of what you do. And we like to work with clients that are purpose-driven. Sometimes they're nonprofit, sometimes they're for-profit.
All right, everyone, welcome. We're back once again on Jill Collins Connections, and we have another amazing guest today. I always say this, but one of my dearest friends, Laura Metro, and I am so thrilled to share her with you all today. She is a highly recognized marketing and PR expert. She has an expertise actually in sensitive and emotional topics, and she's going to go into a little bit about her story and why she focuses on that and where that actually came from and the reason for that. She is the chief strategist at the Marketing Spirit. She's also the founder, and she's a mother and a wife. And she has this incredible process that we're going to share with you today she calls it her Marketing Spirit mapping process. We worked on mine yesterday, and maybe we'll put a little bit drop some clips in here later with that, but I wanted to share some of that, with you today, and how to really find out what it is you're focusing on. What I'm seeing people right now today that I'm running into, Laura, is people are really struggling with, I have this idea, I have something I want to do, I'm finding my purpose, I'm reinventing myself. I just don't, like me, I don't know where to go with it. What do I do? Can I monetize this? What is it? And so the floor is yours. I want to just dazzle us with all of your great knowledge, and I love hanging out in your space. So thanks for the
dazzle. Thank you, Jill. And I really am excited to be on this and do this with you. We've known each other a long time, and actually not even like the longest time in the world, but I feel like it's been forever because we got to know each other over COVID. And we were doing a pretty intense, for those watching, very small mastermind group. And so we all got to know each other really deeply, really quickly, really intensely. And also during COVID, that really inspired, I think, a lot of that type of emotion. I think what a phenomenon that you're talking about is, I think that over COVID, there was a little bit of a leveling out that occurred, especially with the technology knowledge, right? People who, again, we were talking earlier, may never have been on Zoom. Now it's a regular thing that most people in the entire world know about. They also became more in tune with technology and what's going on in the world and those kinds of things. So with that, I think came opportunity, and it opened up people's minds. And particularly the minds that I'm most interested in seeing open up are the people in Gen X, right? And even people that are in the generation before Gen X, because what we have is seasoned experience. What we have is experience over time, where we are now aware of cycles, of things that happen in cycles. And so where we can work with people who are younger in the space, and they have a very different way of interacting with technology, of interacting in the world. Their ideas are different than ours. Their idea of possibilities are different than ours. But what we can do is the guardrails are still the same. The ebbs and flows of the market or this, they still to a certain degree have their flow. And when we've been through certain things, and we've just been through life, what I like to say is where we come in is we make sure that you don't have to end up with legal, okay? Either the legal department in your area or legal in general. Like, we have this, that's a great idea, and I think we should go with it, but let me tweak it a little bit so we don't get sued, or you don't get, because we've been there, we've seen these things. And we, I think, are able, and that's what COVID opened up, this generation. So when you think of the mapping process and everything, it helps all of us who did not start in this generation of technology to be able to organize our thoughts, to be able to really experience the possibility that's opened up to us, and be able to not have it just spin and spin around, like you said, with all these different ideas. And many of us have that, especially people that are ADHD or are in a creative space. I consider it a superpower. It can definitely be a challenge, but I know for me that my ability to see the big picture, my ability to see the whole canvas before it's been painted, my ability to look ahead and see I never question whether or not I can do something. It's just the struggle for me is I need the partner in the place that helps me with all the little steps to get there. And so that's what I spent time cultivating in myself and in my work, with being able to do those steps, because I can see the big picture that this person might not be able to see. And all it takes is a little bit of talking. But sometimes people think, what does that have to do with marketing? Everything, everything. And I'll back up a little bit and say very quickly that I've been in marketing and PR for over 20 years. I have a degree in communications from American University, and I have a minor in literature. So when you're in PR, back in the day, we would pick up the phone and we would pitch, cold call reporters. And if we didn't get our point out very succinctly and quickly within 15 to 30 seconds, we were hung up on. So literally, click, end of story, you were done. So you had to bone up on industries really fast. You had to know your facts, especially if you were calling the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times. You better know what you're talking about and be able to rattle it off quickly, but also be smart enough to know when the question just went above your pay grade and this needs to be sent to the client, and continue that relationship with that reporter. And over time, it had to do with writing and things like that. But when I was moving into doing different things like marketing, which there is, by the way, a difference between marketing, advertising, and PR and social media, it's all become very blurred these days, but there are differences. I started to see that things were getting a little enmeshed, and the people in this space that were more seasoned were getting, over time, less and less confident in themselves, because only young people can do that. The young people know how to work this social media, blah, blah, blah. But what they didn't understand was this was just another medium. Okay. You had smoke signals at one point. You had the telegram, you had the mail, phone, video, TV. Social media is just another medium. Okay. It's no different than any other type of marketing, PR. It's another medium. It's dynamic. It's definitely challenging. And as time goes on, there's so much to learn about it. But really, I think it's been intimidating. Go ahead.
No, I love that. It's so interesting. I think we're always trying to figure out what's the difference between marketing and public relations, PR. And then there's also sales, which is a whole nother thing that we're not really discussing today. But I think
I have a quote for you, which I will get. It describes all of it. Okay. And the differences, and I'm looking at it. I usually have it up. I feel like it fell behind a piece of furniture. But
I guess my question then, as we talked about, we're focusing on Gen Xers, is those of us who are in that generation, is that we see things coming. We've seen so much technology advance, as you're saying, and then we're going social media. Oh my gosh, this is overwhelming, because we don't have the ability. We have concepts and we have ideas and we have thoughts, but our brains aren't used to wiring and thinking so quickly to be able to put all this together and conceptualize how to do it. Whereas the younger generation is wired that way. How do you think AI will impact, and do the Gen Xers have a chance in this world with all this coming on so fast? How's that going to impact marketing and PR, our message out there?
I think that, frankly, the Gen Xers, we are the ones that are going to be able to maximize AI beyond anybody, because we do know the pitfalls. Okay. We didn't grow up being able to look up our answers to our school questions on Google. We had to go to the library. We had to use the Dewey Decimal System with index cards to check out books. That's the books. And for anybody that's younger watching this, there was also things called encyclopedias. Okay, we had to go and get the Encyclopedia Britannica, and we would Don't forget microfiche.
Don't forget microfiche.
Microfiche. Oh, that was deep. This was deep take. This was deep knowledge. Think about it too. The encyclopedias were years old information in order to get it in the book, public. But we have an inherent understanding of what is and isn't plagiarism. Okay. We know the difference. We are very well aware that if we plug something in to AI and AI writes the whole thing for us, that, my friends, is plagiarism. That is not your work. Now, if we are using AI for an outline to help us write our book, that's different. That's a guide. That's somebody like me with ADHD that sees the whole book in her head, but really needs those steps broken down for her. That's an amazing way. I truly believe that our generation and the older generation, 60s, 70s, okay, years old, will use AI responsibly, okay, and smartly. Where a younger generation, I see with my kids, they're 18 and 15, and my husband and I are often having to, my kids are not cheaters, and this is not their nature, but innocently have done some things in school, and we're like, no, you can't do that. Now, can you look up the proper way to cite some information? Of course. But even a week ago, my son said that he could basically not do his summer reading and go on AI and have AI write out the 10 main points of the book. And I said, okay, play. And he's, Mom, I'm not going to do it. He was like somewhat messing with us. But I said, eventually what's going to happen is the teachers and the schools, they will catch up on this real quick, because you notice too, AI has a pattern. Like the more that you put certain things in, it has a pattern of how it answers those questions. And the teachers are going to catch up on that, number one. Number two, AI right now, I believe, goes only to 2015, the information, or 221. It's not fully present. So that's why I think this younger generation might get themselves in trouble with AI. And I really feel like our generation can very much appreciate this unbelievable resource. And we can say, hey, this is something that can buy us time. Because what are we doing the older we get? We want more time.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's so interesting, because that, kids are dealing with that. And I think that was a great answer to the question about AI. And I think before we go further, I'd love to hear how, just to give the audience some understanding and perspective of who you are. And because we've met, you're the one of the most compassionate, you've been in marketing and PR forever. And then along comes a situation that happens to you. Tell us a little bit about what happened, and then how it redirected your entire focus on with your marketing and PR going forward. And I think this story will help people discover where their passion is and not just where they can get a paycheck. Because
100%.
you find you turn your mess into a message, as we say. And I think you've done such a good job of figuring out how to turn your mess into a message. And then you actually also, not only that, then you go and say, this is what your focus is you go in and you say, here's how you can do it too.
I like pain into purpose.
Pain into purpose.
Perfect. I love pain into purpose, because that really resonates with me. And I do have to say, I think the three major topics that we'll probably hit today was, we just talked a little bit about marketing, ageism, a little bit there. I think the other topic will be that marketing spirit mapping process. And then what we're talking about now, where I say that the marketing spirit is where we find the soul of your brand, of your work, of what you do. And we like to work with clients that are purpose-driven. Sometimes they're nonprofit, sometimes they're for-profit, but there's a reason for that. And the reason for that is, yes, I did find my sweet spot, my talent in PR and marketing. It was very clear to me, this is where I should be working in. I really love it and enjoy it. I geek out on it. I could read stuff all day long about it. But going into, it was 2011, and I had been home with the kids. I was running my own firm from home. One of my clients was Tim Hortons. For anybody who is a Canadian out there, I was the first person to do any proactive PR for Tim Hortons in the United States. And I did that for 4 years. They didn't even have a Facebook page, and built that through another communication. So I was doing a lot of work from home. And looking back now, I've been honest with you about this, Jill, before, and I can say it, I would have been a far better full-time working mom than I was a stay-at-home mom. It was not the best placement for me, but what I thought I should be doing as a mother, I thought that's what I should do. So I did, but I was doing my marketing, and I was really ready. And I was driving to the beach with my husband and our kids. And we had our friends who were coming, because my father was going out of town with his wife and their family. And we were going to house sit. They lived on the Delaware shore. and in a neighborhood. And I was driving down there and I said to him, I really want to go to work full time. I want to go back to agency life. I want to go all in. I want to do this. And he said, great. He runs his own executive search firm and he's whatever you need to be happy, honey. He supported me 100% and was like, great. So fast forward, it's the next morning. And my husband and I are talking about my father had a couple rescue dogs, and one of them was supposed to be a small dog. This dog ended up being, I don't know what mix. Okay, but the dog was massive. Okay, close to Great Dane size, somewhat massive dog, not the right dog for my dad and his wife. So whenever I'd go, I'd run with the dog to just to help the dog. And so my husband, I said, when are you going running? When are you going running? And my friend said, you know what? You guys both go running. We'll take the kids to the pool. It's fine. So my daughter was 6.5, my son was 3.5, and they had two kids too that were also 6.5 and 4.5, two daughters. We said, great. So we went running and we were out there, and we were on our way back into the housing development they lived in. And all of a sudden, our daughter is running out of the pool. It was a community pool in the middle of the development, and she's running out of the pool house main entrance. And I did not hear fully at the time what she was saying. But what she was saying is, I think Clay died. I think Clay died. Literally, I thought she loved butterflies and still does. I thought at first that she was very excited that she had seen like butterflies in this butterfly bush that was there. And then I heard my friend screaming. And we all know when you hear a different cry from a kid or a different scream from something. I just gave myself chills, and it was 12 years ago. I'm looking at the hair standing up. And she said, drop the dog, run, because we were done with our runs. We were just walking in, pull down, and it was evident something's wrong. So my husband and I run into the pool, and there's my son, 3.5. People say they're blue. They're not. It's gray. It's a gray color. He's gray and lifeless. And our friend is trying to do CPR. He doesn't know CPR. He's just doing what he saw on TV. And complete chaos ensues. And I remember there was a woman on the phone with 911, but here was an interesting piece that I fast forward. By the way, hold on, let me stop right now. My son is okay. I'm so sorry. I usually start this story with my son made a full recovery so people don't lose I'm so sorry to everyone listening. I always start it with he is okay. There isn't a good ending to the story. But I heard a woman on the phone, and it was something that I noticed, and little tips that I've noticed over the years. When you go out of town and you go to a VRBO or something like that, know your address. This woman didn't know her address. And like, you guys all know what it's like when you're driving and you're using your GPS and it might take you 2 houses too far down or something, like it might not be exact. That's what the firefighters and the EMS have too. So I was yelling over to some workmen who were working on a house, and I was screaming emergency. It turned out later it was those guys that gave 911 operator the actual address of where we were. The paramedics arrive. They end up shooting IVs into his knees. They are doing CPR on him. They started hypothermia treatment. And in that moment, my daughter had been ushered out. The kids had finally been ushered out away from the scene. And I allowed them to work on my son. When I had first gotten in there, I actually tried to do compressions, and there was a man there that had taken it upon himself to coach our friend, and he told me to stop. He thought I was doing it too hard. Like I couldn't control my own strength. I did not know CPR either. I had just seen it on TV. So at that point, they're working on him. I run into the house, and my daughter says, is Clay dead? And I said, no, but he's very sick. And she says, what do we do? I said, you need to pray. And I put her hands in my face and I told her I loved her, and I didn't see her for a week. Okay. So she was abandoned in the process. I get outside, they say, we need to go. And they take me to the firehouse. We're on a field. They land a helicopter, get me in a helicopter, and we take off. And we're going to a children's hospital in Wilmington, Delaware. And there's a critical point of this story that I tell because it's the most real point of the story for me, which was I'm in the helicopter and I'm sitting with the pilot, and he's in the back with the paramedic. So like an ambulance, I don't have access to him. I am in the front. And I hear in the headphones that he's going into cardiac arrest. And the first thought was, I want to jump. I wanted to jump out of the helicopter because the pain, I had a feeling, an idea of me going into his room after he had died. And I was like, no, simply no. What I was feeling was a feeling that it cannot be described, nor would you ever wish on your worst enemy on the planet, this feeling. So I quickly regrouped and I just said, be where your feet are. Be where your feet are. And I realized later I had heard that somewhere, but it recalled. It came to me in the moment that I needed it. And it was like, as far as they're keeping him alive, he's alive. They're keeping him alive and he's going to be okay. And then I asked the pilot, I said, can you turn these off? Because I could not listen to them talking anymore. And then I said, how long? And he pointed to a clock that was counting down to your landing point. At that point, it was 14 minutes and something. My helicopter ride was 30 minutes. So I'll fast forward into arriving on the scene. Clay ended up being in a coma for 2 days. We didn't know if he would wake at all, if he would live at all, or if he lived, we'd be a vegetable. And he woke and he made a complete and total, quite miraculous recovery. And where that's relevant to where we are today is, obviously I did not go back to work full time when I got home. My whole life was derailed. And it became two things. It became managing PTSD and stress in my family and how everyone was coping or not coping. The one who got out of it the easiest was my son. He took a nap for a few days, woke up to lots of presents and toys and people loving on him. But really, my daughter was very much affected, myself and my husband. And about a month after the accident, I was in my driveway and I said, I had a massive feeling of fear and panic come over me. And I thought to myself, how am I going to ever let my children out of the house again? Like, I now inherently know that accidents happen. Okay. I know this now. I'm stripped raw. I have no denial to go into the world anymore, like most parents do and should, so you can let your child go in the world. And like we all do, we all know we put ourselves in danger every time we get in the car, but we don't tell ourselves that every time we get in the car. We have to operate. And I no longer had that shield of denial anymore. I knew inherently that it wasn't a numbers game. It wasn't anything. Yeah, something else could happen to one of my kids. Yeah, it could. And I knew it inherently. And I said, what would I do? I know that if anything ever happened, if either one of my children died, I would never be whole again. But is there anything that would give me peace? And I said, I have to know that I had no regrets. I had no regrets, and my children know beyond a shadow of doubt that I love them. And that was really when I started to think about, wait a minute, I am a white, college educated female that lives 5 miles outside of Washington, D.C. I have a degree in PR and marketing. And this happened to me. Okay. My mother-in-law has a pool. She taught my daughter how to swim. My family's always gone to the ocean. I have blue in my wedding band because my husband likes lakes and rivers and I like oceans. Little did we know how much water would play a role in our lives. We are water people. My family taught my husband how to fish. We go on boats. Never in my wildest dream. I had Clay in 2 semesters of swim lessons. He had passed 2 sweat. Never did I think this was going to happen. And I realized I basically was like, I have received your message. And I said, this is what I need to do now. I need to use my skills to promote this message, to show people that this can happen anywhere, can happen to you. It happened to me. And then I had these skills to do this. So what I ended up doing over the next now 12 years was I was on the board of the National Drowning Prevention Alliance. I then moved to being their director of communications and marketing. I started a foundation, and the signature program of that foundation was called CPR Party. So from a marketing standpoint, what I did was I used a familiar format so people didn't have to be re-educated in something, of the in-home shopping party, your Tupperware party, your jewelry in-house shopping party, took the shopping out, put CPR in. No certification. Of course, we encourage people to get certified and we would guide them in the right direction to do that. But the bottom line was, in all my research, why me, a neurotic mother, did not have safety conscious mom, did not know CPR, was across the nation, They didn't have 5 hours or $250 to get certified. And I don't know any parent that has 5 hours just randomly, just cause. So it would get knocked down to the bottom of the list. And I said, the bottom line was the only explanation these doctors had for my son's survival was the bystander CPR, even though it was amateur, even though nobody knew what they were doing. He was pounding on his chest. He was giving him mouth to mouth. By the way, you hear a lot about hands only CPR. In the event of an airway obstruction, in the event of a drowning or anything water related, you do have to give rescue breaths first. You have to put air in the lungs. When it's a heart attack, you do not. When it's a heart attack, you're beating, okay, the heart in the event. That's a very important distinction when it comes to that. But I realized that this was my job and this is my role. I made one critical mistake. I was very good at my job, and my job was PR and marketing. So there I was, the Today Show, Good Morning America, the Washington Post, the New York Times. I was all over the place. Guess what? I couldn't scale it. I couldn't scale the nonprofit. I got too big, too quick, and the attention was amazing. I did my job there, but I hadn't anticipated. So that's a big lesson I like to talk with people regarding that, and a major focus I'll do either in another podcast or a little bit here of how I can help you very much simplify your marketing, but that's another thing for another time. What I ended up doing was doing that work, working on this, and as a result of that, I've basically become one of the foremost experts on marketing sensitive topics and emotional topics, because who really wants to be on their social media and talk about kids dying?
Oh, I'm sure.
No one. Okay. No
and
one.
of course, it's like me losing my husband. And there was
Yep.
one thing I learned as a result of that is this genetic defect that people can have, some have. And when we're not aware of it, we can actually save, when we find out about it and we know how to deal with it, we can save lives. So I think awareness, and this is what you're getting to with the story. And I'm so sorry with what happened. And I'm so grateful that Clay is okay. And out of that is this opportunity, like you said, from turning pain into a purpose. And so there are probably so many people here that are listening to your story and just it breaks their heart because maybe they know someone who actually their child drowned or something happened and there's another situation they can relate to. And this is for me, what I did is how I got out of my grief 7 years ago. As I started to go through that process, I said, okay, how can I make something good out of this? Like hard to imagine, but what can I do? And I saw so many things that people were, particularly women, were missing. And it was like,
Yeah.
gosh, if they know before, if couples, and it's an uncomfortable conversation to have, just like you're saying, it's finding the time or even the desire to say, hey, let's have this talk and sit down. If something happens to one of us, here's what we need to know. Here's what we need to, and here's what we need to talk about with the family. And that's for another talk as well. But I think this is something that people can relate to, and they can say, one, does my message matter? Which I always say, I believe that every person on this planet has a message to share. And every day,
if you've had
someone
pain,
suffering when every day we don't share that message, like this situation. So what is something, an impact? And you may not think it matters that much, but it does. And so what I think we're here today, and the focus is from sharing that story, is it gives someone inspiration and hope, and an idea perhaps is, what can I do with what happened to me? And so I'd love to ask you is, how do you know, is like, when is it, is whatever happened to me or whatever I've gone through or an idea I have, it may not be a tragedy or something quite like this, but what is it that, can I monetize this? Is this something that I can actually make money doing? Where do I get started? And how do I use, your branding, the marketing spirit mapping process that we went through to find your soul, the soul of your brand? Is it a brand? Do I have a brand at all? Is what happened to me even something I can do with? Can I do something with it? And that's what I think you excel at, is helping people find, just cut through all of the ideas and say,
soul.
Yeah, you just take it all, make it simple.
I think.
So the question I guess is, how do you find your purpose? Does it matter? It's the first one.
So yes, what I would say is, I think one of the biggest, let's say, just issues today that is flying at people when they're considering having a personal brand, considering putting their business, whatever it is what you don't know is you are being flooded with tactics. You're being flooded with ideas. You're being flooded with the things that you can do as a marketer, right? What you're not doing though, and what most people avoid, marketing, just again, I've said this a million times, not trying to diminish any work that anyone does. A lot of the work that most of us do is not rocket science, but people often don't want to do the hard work. Okay. Look at just emotional work. Okay. Why are people not looking at things? Because it's hard and it sucks. Okay. To go deep sometimes and see those things. But what people I think are often doing is they're getting really bogged down in the tactics. So what I like to do is that it is a bit of an emotional process, but what I will talk with people about is their pain. Because when we are focused on our pain, usually, for example, I have an abnormal amount of friends now that have lost children or nearly lost children or have permanently impaired children. And there is one thing that we all say, which is, we're doing this so it never happens to another parent. It sounds like a cliche. It's not, because like I said, that feeling I had in the helicopter, the feeling I used to say is that it's not natural. Like, no one should feel like that ever, right? Again, I could hate you with all of my being. I don't really hate anybody, but let's say I did. I still would never want another human to feel those feelings. And that's exactly what so many people who do find that purpose, that's the drive. It's, oh my God, whatever I can do to never have any other soul go through this, I will do. And the same can go in your business. Now, I'm not saying that it will be as passionate, okay? But I can say that what I've done over the years is I've taken my marketing and my PR experience and I have attached it to topics or things that do have meaning. And I want desperately to help that person, organization, whatever, get their message out, because their message will help other people. So am I saying that PR and marketing is my purpose? No, it's deeper than that. I have a skill, and that skill can be used to get information out to people. Like you said, I want people to know, in a drowning situation, you use rescue breaths. I want people to know little things that can save their life. Know your address when you're on vacation. Or how about this? How about, this was a great one. I'll ask, everyone has like signature questions, and I love to ask paramedics and firefighters this one question. I'm like, okay, don't give me the blanket answer. Give me like the number 10 tip. Okay, not the one that everybody gives and everybody here. And one guy said to me, if you're, you know how sometimes people's street numbers are posted on or painted on the curb? He said, you must have your house number up somewhere that is lit and visible, because what if it's trash day the next day and all the trash cans are lining on the curbs and we do not know what your house number is? We're talking about seconds, as seconds matter. If someone is not beating their heart, you have 4 minutes until brain death. Little things that can save somebody's life. And that's why when I did CPR Party, it had to be easy, quick, meet people where they are. So what I would say is it's talking with people about their pain first, and then getting excited and saying, tell me what you'd like to do. You know, what lights you up?
Let's
And
use
they
an
might not-
example. Let's say, like in my case, okay, let's go through it. So that way people can get an example, because I love your example about what has happened, and we can have a talk. I think we should definitely dive deeper on your story, because I think there's so many takeaways there. And on rescue and knowing about drowning.
that we can do.
And I think it's like, how can we help someone who is saying, okay, something happened to me. Let's say, okay, my husband died 7 years ago. We could walk through it. Once I'm feeling like, okay, I want people to know something here. What would it be that, how would I get started? I've had to go through that journey. I actually did this journey. Let's pretend like I have not done this journey as far as figuring out how to help people who are divorced or widowed, in this case. So what would someone say? Okay, I have this idea. I want to help people because people need to know about this. What is the first thing you would say? And how would someone get started? Is like, what would I need to do? What would I do first? Do I even have an idea? Is this even an idea I can share? How can I get my message? I guess there's two things. One, do I just want to tell people and I don't care about monetizing it? I just want to get the message out. Or can I get the message out to a vast audience, and can I profit from it? Or how can I raise enough money and raise enough awareness? There's actually three things there, right? It really depends. I have to ask myself that first, am I just out there to get the message to as many people as possible? Do I have the means to be able to pay for that advertising or that
Mhm.
message to get that out? And then 3, is it something that I'm called to do? And I really would love to be in the trenches with someone and help guide them, be their guide and walk them through the process as they go through it.
Yes. I would say there's 2 fundamental aspects here. One is really understanding what makes you feel alive. Okay. So for example, for me, and I guess I'm going to qualify, I'm going to clarify here too. Obviously, neither Jill or myself are a professional therapist. And of course, if anybody is experiencing something like that, yes, you need to be in therapy because you do need to be processing through emotions because here it can be a trap too. We don't want this to become our whole and complete identity, do we? We want to constructively, passionately, and positively use our skills, whatever they may be, to spread this message, but this can't be everything. Okay. So, one, obviously, we expect seeking some therapy, but what I would say is I would talk with people. What I found with myself was I love to do exactly what we're doing right now. I love to connect with like-minded people and maybe even not like-minded people, just connect. Jill and I have both been to a number of different, what do we call them? What are they called now? Life strategy events or and a Tony Robbins event. And my husband came with me to the one for the first time after I'd been going for years. And he looked at me and goes, I understand now why this is your Super Bowl. Okay. This is Laura Metro's Super Bowl. Like just the vibe, the energy, the flow, the connection. People are all just like in this space of being open and being like, hey, I'm fucked up, or I'm not, or I was, or I am, or I can be, or I wasn't. Now I am again on something else. And everybody's okay, talk. Okay. It's just this like this connection and this sharing of ideas. And I realized, okay, how do you monetize that? Right? Like, how do you make that a job? And that's when I came to a little bit more of the other piece, which is what do you actually like to do? It may not even be what you think you're good at. Okay. So we're talking about getting ourselves into a place of limitless, a mental mindset, right? And that's where the first thing I'm going to do with anybody is have a conversation, get to know them, talk to them, get ourselves on a space where that's not normally what people think they're doing when they meet with the marketer, right? I'm going to get a plan and then they're going to.
Yeah, before they come to you though, and you talk to them, I think we do some it's like when I was going to college the first time when I was young, and I thought I could sing. And so I spent a year in studying sacred music, which was a very bad idea. And so before I decided that though, I had to have some validation from people or from myself and say, which is again, not a good idea in my case, but is to say, yeah, this is a good idea. Should I contact a marketing person? Because I don't think that necessarily someone's going to go to you or just anyone who for marketing or advice on how to get the message out until they have some validation either from others or believe in themselves that they can do it. So what I want to focus on is how do I know I have a concept and how do I break down like what I would do to bring to you, or you see what I'm saying is like that, how do I know my purpose is there? And if you have this desire to help people, is this something viable? And how do you go through that process?
Perfect. This is perfect because you're doing exactly what most people do. You're going into the tactics. You're going into monetizing. You're like, how do we? And because that's really the instinct, like the action. You want to get to action, right? But what you really need to do is pull back and look at the big picture and say, what is it that I really love to do? Okay. And you have to think about it in terms of not monetization at this point. You think about it in terms of, again, what lights you up and don't have any limitations on it. Because when you could think maybe what lights you up is you love nothing more than going to dinner with friends and enjoying close to an orgasmic experience with food. Okay, great. What is it? Is it the food? Is it the experience? Is it the flavors? And I'm saying this to you because you will come to understand your purpose. You will come to understand your product line eventually. You will come to understand your price point. You will come to understand how to market yourself perfectly. But you have to start with your insides and your North Star. What is driving you? So we'll give away a little bit of yours, okay, but not a lot, which was we really came to understand that Jill's one of her most important things was connection and reinvention. And then we started to play. Okay. Then we started to play, and I'm like, I see the whole thing. I've got, what do you think of this? Or what do you think of that? And then it gets exciting and fun. And you're not down to the product suite or the monetization yet. We're not there yet. Okay. But here's the fun part. When we get that North Star, when we get that top driving, people like to call it your why. You get your why, but it's overused now. Oops, I lost an AirPod. The why is overused now, I think a little bit. But when we get to that, then you're excited. You're not overwhelmed. You're not like, how do I do this? You're like, yeah, okay, yeah. And then it starts to come to shape up. And what I like to do, and what my goal is that when we start here, then all the decisions that you make cascade down from that point, that one point, and then all the decisions are easy. And then everything starts to flow, and you're like, and you might hear an idea or think of an idea, and you put it in the parking lot. You put it in the parking lot, and you start to say, oh, you know what? I could do that. But what we look at is, what's your core competency? So for me, okay, it took a very long time for me to realize I have no interest in being a fundraiser. Okay. That was, in my opinion, for those who do it, God bless you. It was not, okay. No, I did not like this. Okay. I didn't mind. I believed passionately in my product, let's say, in the cause of drowning prevention, water safety. Drowning's the number one killer of kids 1 to 4. I guarantee you 90% of the people listening to this did not know that. Number one. And 100, and by the way, 100% preventable. Okay. But it's like the ugly stepchild of causes. Because you know what somebody told me once, which is disgusting, but life. Drowning doesn't make anybody any money. Until you can find a way, Laura, that your cause makes somebody money, you're going to have a problem. Okay. And that was a very tough reality. But let me tell you something. When you work in a cause, the most cutthroat business in the world is nonprofits, because nonprofits work with a scarcity mindset. They think there is only so much donors, only so much money. And you want to talk about passion? There's another mom just like me that's passionate about another cause. And she's going to be
You're fighting for the attention, and there's so many different causes out there, and it's almost, is it a hobby or a passion project? I think of like Mothers Against Drunk Driving. When that started years ago, that was a passion project, probably because it was so impossible to get that message out there. But then now, years and years later, here it is, and everyone knows what that is.
That's the other piece, is often when you're dealing with these kinds of things, we're talking about generational change. So we're talking about change like seatbelts. We're talking about change, like you're changing behaviors. Okay. How many people remember, if people are our age, you remember all those things going home in your backpack to tell your parents to stop smoking?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now look at smoking today. But how many years did that take? The point being in all this is, what I realized through this process was, you know what? I don't like fundraising. Okay. I don't like fundraising. What do I like? I do connecting with other people in this space and being of service to other people that are experiencing this right now. I do working on the campaigns and seeing from a real, true metrics and analytics standpoint, is this campaign resonating? Is it sparking change? Is it making sure? So what I had to learn, and what I could hone in on so concretely, working with a very limited budget, which nonprofits do, but also looking at the pressure. And when I say pressure, I'm working in a space that if I don't, when I'm going to be really direct, if I don't have my shit just right, if I don't get it right, someone's going to die. And they do, and they're kids. And I get the reports every day. And so I had to work through that mindset, okay, of this is a marathon. You got to keep doing this. But that is how I honed my craft, because it meant something, okay? I was not trying to impress a client with vanity metrics and followers. I was trying to get a message that actually resonated, actually worked, actually got to a parent or something, so it would actually save their child's life. And if I didn't get it right, now, of course, yes, I had to work on this mindset, guys, a little bit. Okay. I mean, I had to really but it showed me, wow, I can do this for anybody that is trying to get this out there. Now, I'll be clear. I don't work with people who do fear-based marketing, who tell you you look terrible and now you need my product. I do not work with people that do that. I do not work with people that market by putting insecurities into people and preying on them.
Yeah.
I don't. I do have to learn those skills and those crafts because I need to figure out how to get my message through to people that need to hear it. So there's
in
a
more
line there.
authentic and integrous way, for sure. For
So
sure.
what I would say is to your original question, okay, which is how do I find the purpose or how do I know how to monetize this? I'd say you need to work on first what, when, and where. Go in your mindset, go to your vacations, go to happy moments. Do not think of it in a business perspective, okay, at all. One of the things I used to do when I had an event planning business and was successful was I would never look at wedding magazines, ever, okay? I went to Architectural Digest. I went to home decor magazines. I went to lifestyle magazines. And if someone said to me, oh, my family's Italian, okay, I would be pulling inspiration from that, not from the tactics. A wedding magazine is full of tactics. Here's your flower arrangement, here's this. When I'm looking at this family that wants to celebrate their Italian heritage, I'm looking at Italy. I'm looking at travel guides. I'm looking at the coastline. I'm looking at, what's your favorite color? Yellow? Fine. Now I'm looking at the flowers in the industry, that area. So I'm pulling from a different level. How do you come up with these original ideas? Because I'm not pulling from, here's the
what
10
everyone
ways,
else is thinking. Yeah,
the 10 ways to improve your SEO.
It sounds like you're going and you're being you're actually reaching the person who trying to find out what it is for them and not what they're
Their soul.
You're getting into their soul. So that being said, when you have your soul working with that, like mapping the marketing spirit mapping process, let's talk about that a little bit because we have a little bit more time. But
we're going to say really quickly, we've got that soul piece, knowing what makes you feel alive. And all I need, and I know they're not to me yet, but I can pick out the things when I hear that. The other thing, then the next step is, what do I actually like to do from a working perspective? And you can be very specific about it, very specific. Someone may love coaching every day. All they want to do all day long is have individual clients. The next person's, I would rather die. I need to have, that is not, and there's nothing wrong. You need to be free and open. There's no right or wrong answer. You do not want to be doing anything that you don't want to do. You can outsource everything else that you're not good at or that you don't want to do. You can have partners that work with you. But for me, it was this connection, right? It's making this connection, having these conversations with people. And then the genius zone comes out, which is the marketing spirit mapping process. And then some other, tools that I have. That's when it comes out. And it's really understanding and knowing, I like to do this. I don't like to do that. Okay. I like to do, whatever the space may be, and really writing that down and really understanding. And that's when we can look at, you and I don't mind public speaking. The next person would say, over my dead body. Okay. Yeah. So we know we might need to write a book or we might need to do something. So that's when it starts coming all down from there.
Yeah. So then the mapping process, it's unique to you in the way you do that, because you help me get my thoughts. It's, should I start this? Should I talk about this topic and focus more on relationships? Should I focus more on finance? And I'm like all over. And you went, okay, here's the umbrella. Here's how it goes. So walk us through the mapping process. Do you have a sample that you can maybe share with us and show us something?
So this is very small right now. Okay. I'll show people that we can bring them up. And this is a sample. So what we would do is, and Jill, we did this yesterday. You can probably help describe a little bit of what, we're not sharing Jill's map because Jill's map is not done yet. And Jill's map is in progress. And you guys will have to watch Jill's map unfold in real time in front of you. But so for this, I've gotten all the sort of language out of this particular client that I'm talking about here, because I didn't want to give away anything proprietary. But really, when it came down to it, there was a lot of skills and talents these two people had. But what they were so passionate about was saving lives, okay? Both human and animal lives. And we really had to get to that why. And so when you have a purpose, like in a nonprofit, okay? When you have a purpose, you can often not be focused ever on the money making aspect. It feels yucky to you, right? Because you want to be giving away all the money. But the fact of the matter is that if you don't have any money to run your nonprofit, you have a problem. Unless you have one donor or you are self-funding this. We're assuming you're not self-funding the whole thing. And we're assuming that you are, needing to have outside funding in some way. So for them, it was really saving lives. And then you need to look at where you're at. For some people, they may have a nonprofit they're working in, they may not, okay? Some people are interested in helping people with their personal life. Some people are interested, they have their nonprofit. Some people have a for-profit business. In this particular case, okay, we determined that one of the people should either had a book or was writing another book. And it was really speaking events that one of the two people in this needed to maximize the most, because the speaking events were going to be the most bang for your buck. Okay. So this particular group of people have three elements of business. Okay. They have the nonprofit that they run. They had a personal brand speaking and book for one of the people in the company. And then they had another business line of personal training and some things. So we were looking at three different entities in one. Okay. And so when you're looking at that, and the driver is the nonprofit, this is what they want to do. Okay. But it was really helping them to understand we need to maximize this area. We need to maximize the other area, these revenue producing areas of your business. Okay. To then fund your nonprofit that you love to do so much. So how do we make that work? Because it all has to cascade up to this. Because this was their driving force. This was their just what they thought about, what drove them to do everything, what got them out of bed. This was it. For the next person, it could be reinvention. It's usually one or two words that really resonate with someone. And it is the thing that drives you. For me, it's connection. I haven't fully figured out exactly, because of course it's like the shoemaker's shoes. Like I can do this for everybody else, but not myself. So full disclosure, you guys, I'm basically teaching Jill how to do this so she can take me through it, is what's going to happen in all your, because you can't.
I definitely owe you one. You spent 2.5 hours with me on the phone yesterday. We did this.
I don't care. We had so much fun and it was great.
I was so excited after this because I'm like, I can see the light now. This is amazing.
Right. You can see it. So again, I think what this helps us, you can look at this like, it's imagine if there's 100 of these little things, and those are your ideas. Those are your thoughts. Those are the tactics. Those are the ideas. But what we end up doing is we say, listen, we got with this particular group, okay, by the way, most of you will end up with a few different business lines. Hopefully, if we're lucky in all this, we'll have a few different areas of revenue generation that we're talking about here. That usually with the people that I work with, they're trying to fund also some type of purpose. Okay, even if it's just a personal foundation that they have where they then go and donate to other causes.
Right, because honestly, it's a lot of times our passion purpose, like you said, isn't something that we can monetize, but we want to get the word out. So we find other revenue streams or ways to pay to support our need to serve. So we find we have another side gig or something like that. We have something else going on, or we work a job in order to offset and pay for this thing that we're doing. And so I think
I was
pointing out too. Okay,
go ahead. The only other exception is if you want to run your nonprofit that way, and you are fine with receiving a salary from your nonprofit. For me, I just felt like there's nothing wrong with it. I just didn't feel like being in a position where I had to explain that, and where I didn't feel also like a salary that I would be able to pay myself or feel comfortable paying myself in the nonprofit was
Right.
going to be what worked for me.
Yeah, and
So
I think a lot of people would take that angle. So I think here's one thing I'm noticing too that I think is interesting is someone could say, oh, I can go do this myself. I can see where you are, what the program is, I can go do this. But I think as you just so eloquently described is it's like going to a therapist. I can't, if I'm a therapist, I'm not going to be, I can't really counsel myself. I need someone else to walk me through it and hold my hand and help me see things I'm not seeing. So
yep.
It's a great way to get started to have this process. You can even take sticky notes and do this without having to have fancy software. But
That's
it's
actually like what
idea.
it came from.
What it is, exactly. So it's like finding a way to take that and get started that way. And then sometimes, like for me, I'm pretty damn organized. And yet at the same time, I'm like, I have so many ideas. I don't know where to go with it. So I needed your help to walk me through it and to pull it out of me and to go through and say, okay, this is a thing. This isn't a thing. This thing here also goes on the business side and these two link. And I'm like, whoa. So this is
So
why.
by the way, this is also your visual representation of your business plan, by the way. Okay. At the end of this line, this will be your entire business plan. Okay. Minus financial projections or certain things that you will put in a business plan. What I wanted was, it is inspired by, I love that process of taking the sticky notes and literally putting them all over the walls. But I wanted it to be in an electronic format or a format that can be printed in a PDF, because that is something that you can give a sponsor, an investor. Okay. If no matter what, at the end of the day, there will be a cap in whatever industry you're in where people will give you money or where they will provide you their services at a discounted rate, and all that will be great. And then you will have to go over a threshold. Okay. Where then it's taking your business to that next level and having people really see you or your nonprofit or whatever it is as a viable business that deserves funding, attention, or anything like that. And with that, you'll need to show some type of map. You'll need to show some type of plan for growth. So for me, the visual aspect of it is very important because I'm a visual thinker. So what we want this to do is end up being that business plan. So we'll keep taking those notes down and we'll keep doing that, where we will get all into the marketing tactics that you'll do. Then you'll have another map for your content creation. And then those things can be translated into any format, whether it's Trello, whatever it may be. But this is really finding that way to make a business, make a life out of this driving purpose and passion. And it can be just a concept. It can be just a concept. And then we can look at the things that we like to do, the things that we're good at. We may decide, wow, I think I might need to go back to school for something.
People can see it too.
Yes.
Because I think that this is that 30,000 feet level, right? This is looking at it from 30,000 feet. And this is a great way to say, oh, you can easily change it. If you just do this on your kitchen table and you take different sticky notes, and you can do this yourself.
Right. Let's you can see you can move things around, you can play around.
The concept of what is it showing? It's showing, as you zoom in, you can see what the different possibilities are. Walk through this real quick before we wrap up in about 10 minutes. I think we've got some time still that I want to make sure people can see the value and kind of get some inspiration from what you created here.
When they see the grandchild, that's just it's just a terminology of the different levels. So you're seeing the colors go down into it like an ombre type thing. It's just showing this goes under this and this goes under this. You can see down here some of these tactics that we're talking about. But how are you going to actually know what to write your book about, what you want to put your social media on, what you want to do your PR, your podcast? You can have lots of ideas, but this is when marketing, PR, and communications go wrong every time. You're just missing the mark. You think you're marketing to a certain person, place, thing, concept, idea, but you have not zoomed out enough. Okay. You have not zoomed out enough to look at the big picture here to get to that. Okay. When you get to that, then we can start going down, and then we'll refine, and we'll keep going. And
zoom down through here so we can see the next level, the next tier, because you have the.
Where are we?
Yeah, and then let me see the next generation, the next level of once you have nonprofit from the part that said saving lives. What's after saving lives? You have nonprofit, and what's the other thing you have?
So this was like the three. This isn't like a fully done one, actually. What I would do, for this, it would be, okay, we've got our nonprofit entity. So this would be like over here.
Okay, but that for the sake of it, it's like you're basically showing like a nonprofit, for-profit or something like that,
So
right?
let's say there's just two. Let's say you have a personal brand and
Okay,
your personal brand is about, again, about saving lives, whatever. Let's say we'll go with yours is about reinvention. Okay, fine. Then we say, how are we going to do this? You want to do speaking events. These are the things, these are your sweet spot. You come alive when you're teaching. You come alive when you're speaking. Okay, great. That's when we decide perhaps we need to put a book in here. Okay, we need a cornerstone, something that's a copy, something that will be able to give you an inroad to doing speaking events, something that you can put some type of formula together, right? Some type of event. And that's what I'm working on right now, a little bit in is taking all of my tools that I've created and developed and putting them into the formula. Okay. Right now, the formula lives somewhat in my head and working with people. I need to be able to put that formula out there so people can do it on their own. Okay. Now, what we would do is for this, the nonprofit, you can think of you're getting individual donors versus this says whole business. You're getting sponsors, businesses, things like that. Okay. So now we're looking at some more, we're going down, we're refining, and we're keeping on. I took out a lot of information because some of this doesn't make sense because I took out proprietary information. But what you're going to keep doing is like here, individuals, and this was for another client, they wanted to consult people after they had retired. Okay. That was their niche. I don't want to consult them I want them when they're like, okay, I'm retired, but I am not sitting around my house eating bonbons and watching TV. I want to do something else. And
so
that was something.
Go ahead. Is that their identities, like who they are and who they serve, their avatar?
Yes. So
Okay.
it was the person was interested in working with people after retirement that were working on what their identity was. So that was the specific niche that they were interested in talking to these potential clients with, was that once people retire, they are figuring out who they are now.
Oh,
They're in a new phase of life.
finding someone's identity at retirement. Not that wasn't the word that you, okay, gotcha.
But
Okay.
being specific. So you're not saying you want to counsel everybody. You're not saying I want to counsel people from the ages of 50 to 70. You're saying I really want to talk to people that have time, whatever it may be, that's exciting, that I've been through this, or I've seen so many people go through this, and I know what the steps are to help them. I know exactly how to get them out of the rut, to get them to be able to, yes, enjoy their time, still take care of their health, still see whatever, family, grandchildren, travel, but be able to feel a purpose and have some work they want to do. I know how to get them there. And that's my passion, because I'm 75, thriving, living my best life. And I want people who are 60 to know that is possible for them. And it's not the end of the road.
Love
That may be somebody's passion, but I'll get that out of them when we're having a conversation.
Okay.
That's a conversation. Okay. It sounds like you're really passionate about that. What part of that are you passionate about? Do you want to have weekly meetings with someone, or are you like, I don't really want to counsel them one-on-one every day? Okay. Do you want to write a book about this plan? Do you want to speak about this? Do you want to inspire? Okay. When we are up here, we'll get all that worked out. And then, like I said, that's when it starts to get so fun. And it's, yeah, okay. Yeah, I like what this is looking like now. And it's all possible. But we just need to know what our map is. And it's not a one-shot pony. It doesn't happen in one try. It happens in a few different iterations. Yes, we could spend 3 hours and it's amazing, but we'll still be going through that. And then you build, then everything else comes out from there. That's the best part. But people don't get it that your marketing, your product suite, that is not the top. The top starts with a concept, a feeling, an idea that is deeply resonating within you, usually from a place of pain or experience. Okay. And it's important for people to recognize, and this is where it goes wrong, is people get in that mindset of do tactic action. What's the next step? You have to get yourself into a much bigger, okay, let's just take a chill for a sec. Let's have a conversation. And like I said, what happens is the momentum just starts going in the conversation. You just experienced it. And you're just like, oh, okay. and then it gets exciting, and then the ideas come, and then next thing you know, we've got a 3-year plan, not a 5-year. My friend April Garcia, she runs Pivot Me. She does the what does she call it? My 3 why. And she does a 3-year plan, and it's specific because 3 years is totally, you can see 3 years. 5 years, too far. 10 years, forget it. What's going to happen in 10 years? I don't know what's going to happen. 3 years, I'm like, all right, that I can see. It also, when I'm impatient because I want to be at a certain place in my business, but I haven't built the foundation yet. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I can see all the steps that I need to get to where I'll be having that business consulting or whatever it is, but I got to lay the groundwork in the street cred here first. I've got to find that connection with my people. I've got to find the people that that need what I have to say, that need my skills and expertise. And as time goes on, those people will trust you with the advice that you're giving them.
So it's building trust and credibility, and you really need to build some social proof. I think it's also telling your story, right? It's creating that story of, like you told us, is why am I qualified to talk about this in the first place?
Yes. And
I think
how did your life,
helping people, the journey, helping people find that story, like how to tell it properly.
100%.
Yeah.
I can tell that story without breaking down. Why? Because obviously my son lived, that's a big piece, but why can I tell that story? Okay. Because I am doing something active and engaging in a solution that came out of that story and that pain. Okay. It is not my life, but look, it's a turning point. It's, I like to say that we have universal shifts. There's only a few that we have in our life where something happens. Often people say it's when they have a child, certain things, and all of a sudden you've got a different pair of glasses on, and it's just, things look different. Okay. And when your husband died, things eternally changed for you. Your life looked different from that moment forward. And that's what happened with this. And you don't want to ignore it. But once you've gone through it, you want to take that and use that as that energy. Because that's what it's really like the energy. Like when we get older, like we need a lot of energy. We can't get by anymore on what we could when we were 20. Okay. We can just energize our body. We can do whatever we want to our bodies. We can stay up all night long, and we can just, we get older and wiser, and we start to realize I need to have passion. I need to have something that is deeply resonating within me. So on that day when everything hurts in my body or whatever, I get out of bed. I do what I need to do because I have something that I'm doing that's bigger than me. And for me personally, and I know you feel this way too, it's not because we have 50 meetings on our calendar that day. That is not what motivates us. We don't want to have a full day of, that's not really it for us. That's not the format for us. That's not the structure for us that works for the way we want to live our lives. And that's another piece that we come to talk about and learn about, is like when you're really refining your product line or your services, it's being very specific and deliberate, and you are not pigeonholing yourself. You are going to the people that need exactly what you're giving them. And the other people, they may not be what you need yet. Maybe they have some steps to go, right? And that's the other piece, is it's cascading down and really niching out. And then we build the marketing and the PR and everything around that.
That brings, okay. So when someone gets to that point and they go, okay, I have figured out, I really want to see if this is a viable thing and I want to work with someone. What is it do you offer a course? Do you you work with people one-on-one, and I assume, and what is it that you want to tell us about what you do for people? So
right now I work with people one-on-one, and I can do, my favorite thing is to do in person 2 to 3 day like events. Okay. Where we're like in a hole. Hopefully it's a very nice, lovely hole that has room service or something else, or a lovely environment. And we are able to put away the phones, and we get down and deep and we do this, okay, I can do the hourly consulting. But then what my future, my mind map is telling me is I'm in the process of writing a book to try to talk about these processes. And then I come alive when I'm teaching or when I'm speaking or when I'm doing these things. And so I love to do that. But for me, I know that I need to have that book. I need to have something in hand that's tangible that a speakers bureau can say, here's her story, look at her LinkedIn profile, here's her book, and I can do that. The book is not a revenue producer. It is basically, I would say, an advertising tool. Most books, by the way, are not revenue producers, okay, ever. But if you write them and you use them in the right way, they can be a huge launching point. And it's so easy to write a book these days. So easy.
Well, I love that. And I think that's another good point. And before we wrap up, I just wanted to say, is there, maybe we can unshare screen so we can see each other and go through, because I love this point and I want people to see that what's possible, because that's always my focus, is showing people
what's possible.
An idea. And this is something that you can totally utilize yourself, get started, and really get clarity on your ideas. I think a lot of us after the pandemic, we were going, what am I doing now here? I have this other idea. I want to do something new. I have to wake up a little bit, and it's, what can I do? And so my area of reinvention, which I've done many times over and not by choice most of the time, is that I need to reset. So what is it that I can do? How can we get clarity? And so I think this process is so helpful. And so then if you want more, you can try it yourself. You can see what we did, and then reach out to Laura as well if you'd like more on how to get more specialized attention and pull your ideas and make them, put them into, take your ideas and put them to fruition, right? So
yes, and really quick, I'll say too, that one of the things that happens when I am talking with people, and usually it is a 2-hour call. The first call is usually 2 hours. While they're talking, I am not taking notes, but I'm already starting the mapping process. And I'm hearing certain keywords, and I have no organization whatsoever. You saw this happen. Like, I have no organization yet. I'm just hearing certain keywords that are coming out to me. I'm hearing certain skill sets. I'm hearing certain things, and I'm putting this down. And then, like, midway through or whenever it feels like it's right, I share the screen. And they're like, whoa, okay. And they're thinking we're talking, and they don't know what I'm pulling out. They think they know, because we're all in our own heads. My mom, God bless her, she would say, you don't want to get behind enemy lines in your head. You know, if you get behind enemy lines, forget it. Like, you're in a whole no man's land. And it's so true. And so what we see in someone else versus what they see in themselves is different. So that's what I'm usually doing on the call. And then that is what sparks it.
Yeah, you did that with me yesterday.
Yeah,
and it gets exciting. It's a really exciting exercise to have to walk through it with somebody, because again, you're listening to me as I'm saying things about it. And I'm going like, I had this program that I created 3 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that great? And you're like,
let me see.
You're like, this is the crux of the whole thing. You've already got this. And I'm like, it's not that great. And you're like, no, we didn't.
No, yeah.
I was like,
exactly.
Oh, yeah, from scratch. And I'm like, no, you're not. So you might be surprised. I want to encourage everyone. You might be surprised that you have more in your toolkit, in your arsenal, than you think you do. So,
and sometimes I'll hear it and I'll say, here's your book.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, what? And I'm like, here, it does. You just said it to me. That's your book. Oh my God. But I would say that's my ADHD, because when I'm with you, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
I am listening to your words. I am hearing you. And so that's where it's, again, just, I guess an ending statement too is, don't be judgmental, be curious about your traits, your idiosyncrasies, or things you might think are bad or are limiting. Usually our greatest asset is also our greatest defect. Okay. So it's finding those things, and often they can be your superpower. Often they can be the source that you're driving things from, that can make you pull out your greatness.
Yeah. Because
I feel like I can see that.
Yeah. I think our superpower, a lot of times we think it's something that we would do so well naturally. We think everybody can do it. So we discredit.
You said that to me.
It's, oh yeah, everybody can do that. It's, no, they can't. That's your thing. It's, I'm a great planner. All my friends say, if we're going on a trip, Jill's going to plan it. She'll do it. I'm like, everybody can do that. No, nobody either likes to do it, or they just aren't organized like that. And me, I'm like, oh yeah, give it to me. I'll do it. I'll get the spreadsheet and get the whole thing done and done.
100%. As we get older,
find
that's
that superpower that you have. And that's
what you might not like to do it. That's okay. Somebody else loves to do that.
Yeah.
it's really not, we're just not wasting our time anymore.
So the takeaways,
know?
here, I think the takeaways are definitely to find out what your why is. What is it that you love to do? And map it out. Look at this process to start. You can do it yourself. And
Well,
then
where do you feel alive?
where do you feel?
Not what your why is. That's too general. Like,
Okay.
where do you just are like, God,
Where you light
I
up?
love that. Think of a vacation. Think, what was it about that moment on the boat that you're just like, I love this?
Yeah. I love that. Okay. And then the next thing is to just go through that whole thing. And then it's to say, okay, what do I have to offer? And I think the key is to really have someone walk through it with you. Because
Yes.
if I'm, first of all, I've been sitting with this for a year or two and going, yeah, I've got all these humongous to-do list about a mile long. And it's all these ideas
too.
that I'm like, oh, do this, maybe check this out, research this. I see someone's post. I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And that goes on like a link goes in a to-do list and I never look at it again. And so these are things that are rolling around in my head, but then it's like this idea of mapping this is what matters. And then everything else, do I need this on my to-do list anymore? Nope, because I'm not doing that.
Or you can categorize it.
Or you categorize it even better. That's right.
Yeah, let's say your map becomes the basis for your Trello board or your Asana board or your Airtable board. And these are your columns, these are your things. So you're like, oh, I love what I see on that person's feed. Screenshot, email it to your thing, and now it's in your parking lot. Now it's there, it's captured, and you know where to put it. And you'll know because of your plan, that's a great idea, but I'll put that into play in year 2.
Yep. Yeah, it helps get clarity, which you did that for me. And so I just totally want to thank you for the time today. And I know people are going to get so much out of this. People that are in this space of just, I need to figure out what I'm doing next. I hear this every day from someone, even people that have a business and they're active and they're successful doing something, is that there's this sense of just lack of clarity and feeling like they're just not sure where to go next with things. Thank you so much, Laura, for your time today. I really appreciate it.
I want to give you one compliment for people that are listening here, or one thing. This all came about because Jill had reached out to me of like, hey, we haven't seen each other, like Jill and her connections. And we just had a call to catch up. And like this whole thing happened organically. And then now here we are here. So I think the other piece that I would say to you too is reach out to people, connect to people. If you don't know how, ask Jill. The book will be coming soon.
There's the reveal.
Sneak peek.
Yes.
But it's connecting with people and not necessarily knowing where that magic happens, right?
Yeah,
and that is you. That is all you.
Thank you. And it's like asking for help. And that's why the value of this, of what I do with this YouTube channel and creating this content is that I talk to someone, I'm like, oh my, it's like getting a new book or watching an awesome movie. It's everybody needs to see this. Everybody needs to talk to you. I got so much value talking with you. And we've met so many times and it's just a click. I'm like, oh my God, we have to do an interview. People have to hear what you're doing. And so they can get help too. So
because you ultimately want to help people.
Totally. And it's a conduit. I just heard a great thing. Let me share it. And so I share my contacts, my connections with you all. That's the purpose. That's the whole intent of this. And not all of these videos are going to resonate with you, but some might. And so if this one doesn't resonate with you and someone it does, please share and tell others about it and subscribe, because there are going to be some amazing, we've got people who will help you write a book coming up soon. We've got another one on relationships and dating, lots of great content coming up ahead. So stay tuned for the next episode. And Laura, thanks again. I appreciate your time.
I loved it.
Love you, sister. Take care.
Love you too, babe.
Bye.